So I think we have enough for a quorum, don't we, Mark?
I am checking just a second here. I'm just loading the. Just downloaded the packet. All right, we have just notes. 10 seconds here, sorry. All right, we have, I'll take roll. Nate Day.
Present.
Tad Dockery, I believe, is absent. He had notified me ahead of time he would be. Ella Donner.
Present.
Ken Marquardt.
Here.
Katie Nelson. Not present. Dan Ramsey is present. Carrie Scheffner.
Here.
Jim Schutz. No Jim. Peter Connor.
Jim's muted.
Present. I'm sorry, who's present?
Jim Schutz is here.
Okay. And then Katie Nelson, I see, just showed up. We do have a vacancy from the school district. Dana Minogue has decided that there's too many conflicts with her schedule to continue meeting, so she has resigned. She is hoping that the city will, that the mayor will appoint Dale Rhodes, who I believe, based on what we see on the screen, is present and monitoring the meeting, but he's not an official member yet. That will need to be a mayoral appointment and confirmation by the council. So by my count, you have 7 present.
Okay, very good. Let's get started then. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the July 13th minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
This is Katie. I'll move approval.
Could I have a second, please?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes carry. Item number 1, Elmwood Avenue Pedestrian and Bicyclist Safety Initiatives Tactical Urbanism Project Update.
Yes, so that is Behe is going to be present for that. Do you see this on the screen? Behe? Behe, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So I can display it, or if you would like to, it's up to you. I've got the slides going here.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Behe, and today I would like to share with you our Elmwood Avenue traffic urbanism traffic calming measures project. So, as you are aware about this project, we have installed temporary traffic circle as well as single lane slow point on Elmwood Avenue crosswalk. So to start my presentation, I'm going to start on the project overview. The project type is called residential temporary traffic circle and car park out for a single lane slow point. The project location is Elmwood Avenue. The traffic circle location is Elmwood Avenue and Middleton Street intersection, whereas the single lane slow point is located at the crosswalk on Elmwood Avenue. The total budget we have invested in this project is $3,166.72. Our key materials for this project are parking wheel stop, flexible delineators, posts, adhesive glue, and traffic circle sign, as you see. So this traffic circle sign is a standard recommendation from MUTC, like manual utility traffic circle devices from the federal. So the second slide is going to move to the design process. The design process of both the traffic circle as well as single lane slow point are both based on neighborhood traffic management program. As you are aware about the Middleton Comprehensive Plan recommends tactical urbanism to identify low-cost traffic measures, and these traffic measures include like traffic circle and single lane slow point for bump outs. So we choose two traffic calming measures. One is the traffic circle on the intersection. The other one is a single lane slow point on the crosswalk. So, okay, moving to the second slide. Our design of the traffic circle is as the neighborhood traffic management requires traffic circle to be large enough to accommodate all vehicles are required to follow an indirect path, even to proceed straight through the intersection. So the neighborhood traffic management program has an example of dimensions, and based on that dimensions, we have designed our traffic circle dimensions. So the traffic circle diameter is 30 feet, and we have an opening minimum opening width is 19.5 as you see in the picture. E is equal to 19.5. That's the minimum opening width, whereas the curb return radius B is equal to 22 radius. And the Elmwood roadway width is 37, A is equal to 37. So based on these dimensions, we have designed our traffic circle. Okay, moving to the second slide, please. This is it's a single lane slow point. Single lane slow point, and single lane slow point basically it means to narrowing the pavement between the curb lines. We have narrowed the pavement between the curb lines. It's basically narrowing the street into a single lane. So this slow point requires opposing motorists, opposing vehicles from different directions to yield to each other as they approach the slow points. So in order to function effectively, the width of the traveled way cannot be wide enough for two cars to pass. That's why it's like 16 feet traveled ways. So this 16 feet travel way will help, cause the opposing motorists to yield each other when they are at this point. Second slide, please. So our second part of the presentation is how did we implement these presentations? As you're aware, this is a tactical urbanism, and we need an engagement from the neighborhoods. So I had to design or plan create an implementation plan. So our implementation plan have three steps. I would like to. Could you please like make large the slides, please? There are a lot of images, so I went to.
Is that good?
Yeah, I don't think so, because can I share mine?
Yeah, I set it up so that you could share. You should be able to share.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So okay, to repeat, we had a neighbor community who were engaged in this project. So I had to I had to create an implementation plan, and the implementation plan is actually a steps, easy steps, so that everyone can understand. So our first step is to find the center points in the intersections, and after we find the center point, we have to measure 15 feet to each directions, because the traffic circle diameter is 30 feet. And after we measure 15 feet to each directions, so we will get 30 feet diameter, and then we draw the circle, 30 feet diameter circle by using a chalk. And how did we also implement the delineators post? This is the first step. We had to clean the area that we were going to attached to the detonator posts. And this is how, like, the second step is to peel and stick the adhesive glue, and then we place the flexible detonator posts and apply the pressure. So this is the action and how the community engaged in this project. We were around more than 20 neighbors who were very keen to help this project, and these were the steps we followed. And we, as you see, there are even children who are drawing the traffic circle, and this is the way we did. You can-
Vicky, this is Katie. Can I interrupt? I'm not seeing your sharing screen. I'm not sure if anyone else is having trouble.
Oh. It says you're, let's see, I see that it says I'm viewing Bihi's screen. Nobody else can see it though?
I only
Currently
see
not
the
seeing it.
agenda.
Okay. Oh,
Oh,
If you go to view options on the top and switch it.
yeah, I think I had this problem before now that I think about it.
Yeah, and then you can choose which one you want to view.
Yeah, if you go to the top where there's like that little green button that says, or banner that says you are viewing Mark Opit's screen, next to it, it says view options, and you can switch.
okay.
It says stop participant sharing. All right, do you see anything now?
Carrie, are you talking about something I need to do?
Yeah, but now Mark, I've changed it. So I
thought you were
think
talking to me.
Stop sharing.
I thought you were talking to me. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, yeah, all the participants could do that, but I think it's probably simpler if Mark, if you stop sharing and then.
Oh, okay.
Can you see now?
No, it's still the agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I see where I could.
Do you see where to switch it?
But we
Yep.
should require the public to make an adjustment. So I don't understand. So what if I say
So-
one?
At the top, when I tap it, there's screen share and then it says 2. And if I tap on screen share, is your name and Bihi's name. So I got it. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, but I'm still uncomfortable with expecting other people to do that. I think I'm going to change it one more time. I'm going to say one person can share at a time. Bihi, do you mind launching yours again in a second? Just a second.
Okay.
All right, now it's only Bihi has control, and that way we just are sure we all see the same thing. Sorry about the confusion.
Okay.
All right, now it should work for everybody. You shouldn't have to change anything. So everyone can see the screen now? Okay,
How about
Yeah.
now? Can everyone speak?
Bihi, I'm sorry we interrupted your presentation. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
Well, no, I'm glad you let us know, Katie.
Okay, so let me start the implementation plan again. This is how the neighborhood community have engaged in this project. It was on a Sunday morning, was raining, so more than around 20 people come to help to install this traffic circle as well as the single lane slow points. And as you see, our first step was to find where is the center and the intersection locates. So we can go from there by measuring 15 feet to each direction in order to find out 30 feet diameter circle. And this is the way we did, like after we find like after we measure 15 feet to each direction, so we find out the circumference of the circles that by drawing by using a chalk we draw a circle. And this is how the community engaged this project. It is really beautiful. And then we placed the cartwheel stop, like the rubbers. And then we have installed also, we have attached these delineator posts. Okay, the city also helped us to bring a traffic warning. And this is like before we start our project, we had turned on this traffic warning sign. So in order to tell the drivers that there are project going on and there are people on the street. So be careful there. Okay. Yeah. And after we install both the traffic circle and the single lane slow point for the bulb house, we had to tell the people to put their expressions, their feedbacks. So, and so we created this sandwich post, and we placed it near the traffic circle as well as near the single lane slow point or the car bulb outs. And we have received a lot of feedbacks, positive feedbacks, negative feedbacks that I'm going to share with you. This was our when we finished the project, and frankly speaking, because there were a lot of people who were willing to help this project, we finished in 2 hours, and we installed in 2 hours. That was really good for me and for everyone. So these are the comments and feedbacks we have received from the people. Let me read for you. So as you see, the first comment, like traffic alarmism on Elmwood Avenue has impacted drivers' behavior. Drivers are approaching the stop sign at Bristol more cautiously from both directions. This seems like a positive comment. So living on the corner of the intersection, this is another comment, like living on the corner of the intersection where it only has one traffic stop sign going one way, we have seen so many reckless and obvious drivers. That means before we install the traffic circle. Thanks to the traffic circle that forced them to slow down and look around. Traffic calming measures are a must for when Elmwood Avenue is repaved. This is the comment we received. Far too long, I have witnessed cars speeding by my house, which is right by crosswalk. I have kids, and it can be scary thinking of what if accident happened. I mean, so if ever since the measures were put in place to temporarily slow the traffic, speed has decreased, and I enjoy driving down. So these are the comments, positive comments we have received. We have also some negative comments that are recommending to install to put like 4-way stop sign and a speed bump instead of traffic circle and single lane slow points. We also get some comments from MOC, Middleton Operations Center, and that's saying like their car didn't fit, the opening didn't fit. So we have also this somehow negative comments, and I have talked to Brad, and Brad told me that it's too big. The traffic circle is too big, so it might bring a problem. So this is okay. Let me. Yeah, this our track could not make the turn as it is, and the blow with wing did not fit at all. That's the feedback we get from Brad, MOC, Middleton Operations Center. Okay, the last part of the presentation is, well, we are going to plan a survey, to conduct a survey, and the survey actually, the main point of this survey will be like asking two questions, and for instance, like if the question says, if you are riding a bicycle or walking today on Elmwood Street, how has this project impacted you? How safe do you feel traveling along the Elmwood Avenue? So this question is mainly to the pedestrian and bicyclists who are walking or using Elmwood Street. The second question of our survey will be like, if you are driving on Elmwood Avenue today, how has the project impacted your drive time? I prepared a QR code, and you guys, if you live near or Elmwood Street, you can take a scan of this QR code. There are questions with multiple answers. You're feel free to provide your feedbacks. You're welcome. So that's the end of my presentation today. Thank you so much. If you have any question, well, you can ask.
Thank you for that presentation, Bihi. How long has the traffic circle been there now?
It's been there like almost 2 weeks.
2 weeks, okay.
Yeah.
And when do you anticipate, is the survey out right now, or?
Yeah, the survey will be out on tomorrow. I've prepared this survey today, and survey will be out tomorrow.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments from the committee?
I just had one question about the future. If I don't know if you looked at having stop signs, if there was an actual traffic circle here in the future, would those remain be here, or do you think those would be removed, or would that be a four-way stop? How would that function?
Well, as designed, this traffic circle will be there only in 4 weeks. And right now we are gathering data. I don't know about the signposts because I didn't get any comment about the signpost. But like stop signpost, but like this temporary traffic circle will be there only for 4 weeks.
Personally, I just thought I never have seen stop signs at a traffic circle like that, so that kind of threw me off a little. But nobody else said anything about that.
Yeah, I think like our first main goal was like to because of the time, we don't have really enough time to gather data. Like the case study I have studied before as example of this one was like they said in the case study that they removed the stop signs after 6 months because there were a lot of negative comments demanding to remove the stop signs. If there's a traffic circle in the intersection, there's no point the stop sign is to be there. So that case study says like they removed and they let the traffic to follow freely without any stop sign. So we didn't remove because we have very short time, and I am an intern. I will be here until the end of this month. So that's why I think that's the reason.
Yeah, thanks.
I agree. The stop sign does make it a bit confusing when you drive up to it. I think if this is going to go any further, of course, it'll go through Public Works, and we'd certainly have Public Works' input also. But any other comments? If there are no comments, Becky, thank you for your presentation. And I assume we'll have an update then when all the when the project is completed and we have survey results.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have one last question. We are trying to do another survey too, like 2 surveys. One like this will ask like how the pedestrians and drivers feel about the project. The second survey we're going to conduct is if like how many people are willing to upgrade this project into permanent one or not. So just to let you know, that will be our second survey, and we will start taking that survey next week, I guess.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to item number 2, North Mendota Trail change order to pave west of the Goodwill store. Can everybody see Mark's screen?
Yes. Mark, it looks like you're on mute.
All right, thank you. I moved things around and then I lost track of where my mute button was. Okay, sorry about that. So can you see the screen?
We can, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So this is the segment directly west of Goodwill, between Goodwill and Branch Street. Trying to figure out how to get rid of this index on the left. How do I do that? see here. Oh, well,
I think we're fine. Everybody can see it.
I don't know why that's there now. So we received a change order just shortly before the meeting. I'll just go straight to that. The reason why we asked Badgerland to do this was because the previous contractor, T2, was going to charge us about $50,000, and we just thought that that was very expensive. So I'm happy to report that it looks like we are looking at $28,000 total. So it was worth the wait. Saving $22,000 roughly. And so this, I would recommend that we do this work in conjunction with paving the east segment later this fall. And that would be my first suggestion, is that you recommend approval of the change order to the council.
Can I get a motion? Somebody to that?
This
If
is
no
Katie.
questions.
I will, do we want a motion right now?
We can dispense with this part of it, can't we, Mark?
Yeah, so this is just, this will need to go to the council for approval, and unless you have questions about this, this is simply paving using the specifications in the contract for the east segment. Well, it's specifically using the specifications I included in the packet here, I should say. That to do what's shown in the packet is going to cost $28,000. So I'm recommending approval, and you can just recommend that to the council for approval.
And this has already been vetted. We were just waiting for the change order to come and the amount to come.
Right. So did Katie make a motion? Is that what she was doing? Or did I not hear that?
Yeah, if that's what it's time for, I will move that we recommend approval
Of the change order.
of the change order.
Could I get a second, please?
I second that motion.
Are there any other?
This
Are
is
there any
Ella.
other? I'm sorry. Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to recommend this change order to council signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, motion carries. Also on this part, Dan, is, and I'm looking for too many windows going here. I had a window up for the wayfinding signs. I wanted to explain to you what that was about, and now I can't find it. Just bear with me one moment, please. Where'd that go? Well, why don't I do this one first? So the green pavement markings are on the agenda as well. So I have been working with, or trying to get a handle on what this will cost. And I've been talking with Madison and our city engineering staff, and I'm quite surprised and disappointed to report that costs are very expensive. What I'm thinking here is to do green pavement crossings crosswalks where the trail crosses Marina Drive, Highland Way, and the major driveways that we have, like CVS, so that when people come out of CVS, they know that they're crossing a crosswalk. And so what I'm wanting to do at this point is get your concurrence that we should do some sort of enhanced crosswalks, but I don't want to commit this, I don't want to commit us to using green at this point because of cost. We're talking $28,000, for example, for an intersection. It's just I'm sorry, 28,000 was the change order. $7,000 to do one crosswalk at an intersection. It still is a lot of money. So I don't have all the numbers together yet, but I'm trying to compare, and I'm sorry about the background noise if you can hear it, our custodial staff is here. So I'm trying to develop a plan for that quarter with the funds that we have from the county to put that in, as well as the wayfinding signs. And I just, at this point, wanted your concurrence that we should do something to enhance the crosswalks along the corridor, but how we do that, I guess, is still a work in progress. So it was mainly a report to you and to get your approval to put together a more detailed plan. I don't know that I need a motion. I just wanted you to discuss it to, well, I mean, you can make a motion if you'd like. If you don't want me to go in that direction, then that's fine too. oh, here I found the wayfinding. The second part, just so that you see the totality of what we're just doing here. Well, the city has signed a grant agreement with Dane County as a condition of getting the $1 million funding from them through their budget. They are willing to have that funding available through 2023. Obviously, we are intending and have every reason to believe we can get the east segment done this year. But one of the terms of the grant is that we install wayfinding signs in accordance with the county's wayfinding manual. And these signs, if you've seen them, if you've taken the capital city or the lake loop around Lake Monona, they have a lot of these signs in place already. This was developed by a number of people, including myself, over 5 years ago now, to have a regional standard for bicycle wayfinding. So this would say the North Mendota Trail, and there, it would highlight basically street signs for the trail system. So, with some distances, indicating how far it is for a certain destination, just to help people stay on the trail and identify the trail. Just a second. I'm in a meeting. Thank you. So I'm going to be putting together a proposal for this as well. I have not had the time to put that together yet, but I want to do that for the next meeting for you to sign off on that. So again, just wanted to let you know that this is something the county expects. And there's a standard for putting these in place. And it's just a matter of putting together a cost estimate. So between that and the enhanced crosswalks, that's what was on your agenda. Any feedback for me?
Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? I think, Mark, it'll be good when you get all the information together and can bring it back to the next meeting where we can, have a more broad conversation, having all the facts in front of us.
Yeah, but I do want to reassure you that we have funding from the county to do this. Obviously, we don't want to just spend money for the sake of spending money. We want to do what we need to do to meet the terms of the grant and then save as much of the money we can for the goal here is to start working with people between the two Highland Ways. Dan, you and I've talked about that a little bit, to start reaching out to the property owners between the two Highland Ways to start obtaining easements so that we can fill in that missing gap in the future. So that is the game plan. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions for Mark or any comments? Okay, Mark, we look forward to
Mark,
it. Go ahead.
this is Jim. Question I had, is there any way you could justify those enhanced crosswalks as a means of wayfinding?
That's a good point. I see when I've ridden my bicycle along in a complicated setting, in Madison, for example, the crossing of, can't remember the name of the street, but if you take the Capital City Trail from between Camp Randall Stadium, Regent Street, so let's say you start there at Regent Street and head northeast to get to the rail quarter. You cross by the power plant there on campus. I think that's what that is. And they actually cross at a diagonal intersection. And you cross diagonally at an intersection. I personally find the green pavement markings very helpful for both drivers and for pedestrians. So Jim, that's a good point, that the green actually it's a safety measure to help people to help alert about the different roadway users. It's not strictly wayfinding in terms of giving you, telling you information about where you're going and all that. But, just like with streets, we are envisioning that these major path corridors are like our streets. I mean, bicyclists have and walkers and joggers and everybody who uses the trails, we're trying to treat them just like we do provide the amenities that we do for vehicles. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just didn't know whether we could justify that as if you were riding and you see this crosswalk, enhanced crosswalk a couple blocks up, that it's a way of wayfinding, that's where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think it is. I consider it that way, but you know, maybe everyone looks at it differently. I'm looking for that intersection I was just telling you about.
Does that help if you are considering it wayfinding? Does that help you afford it as part of the grant?
Here's a good example. Can you all see that? So, Katie, to your point, does it help us afford it? The green pavement, the green crosswalks are also funding eligible, if that's what you're getting at. I mean, I'm not worried about that being out of pocket city. I mean, I am worried in terms of it spending the money. You know, I don't want to spend something that's wildly expensive and doesn't have the support of the council. So I want to make sure that, you know, we bring you along with this if that's something you want to do. So we want to make sure we spend the money purposefully and resourcefully. But you know, there's a cost benefit to you know, it's only, these funds only go so far. And if these, like this crosswalk here, the one that this isn't necessarily one that costs 7,000. It potentially actually costs more given the quote I got, but I don't know exactly what the costs are. But 7,000 for one crosswalk was a ballpark figure that was recently a bid that Madison recently got this year. They don't do it in-house, I learned. They contract it out. They have done it in-house, but now they're contracting it out. And they also indicated to me they would not want to be hired by Middleton to do the work. They would prefer we contract it out. I mean, that was their guidance. So I talked to Mark Winter of their engineering staff. So it's still a work in progress. I had hoped to provide you with more specific proposal, but I just haven't been able to do that yet. So I'm working on it though for next meeting.
Okay, any more questions or comments? All right, we look forward to hearing more about that in the future, Mark. Let's move on.
Yep, and this is a good segue to the next item. So as these wayfinding signs that I showed you here for the, you know, for the Dane County manual, as I just referenced, there's also a similar initiative at the federal level for what is called the U.S. Bike Route Network. So imagine the interstate system, but comprised of bicycle routes. So several years ago, and I guess in hindsight, what I could have done is put a map of, I don't think I put that in the packet. I thought of it and then I forgot to do it. So we are now on a route, a bicycle route 30. Sorry to be scrolling here. Let me just get back to the top. So they, this is what it looks like. So they, coming in on Parmenter Street from Highway 12, coming from La Crosse, coming down Highway 12 and the path, Highway 12 path, coming into Parmenter Street, south on Parmenter to downtown, turning left on Elmwood, east on Elmwood, and then continuing Old Middleton Road. And so this is now something that's formally designated. And we have now been asked to join with the DNR and other communities to start signing this roadway. You know, it's not a mandate. I would say it's a preference, and they want us to. You know, it's a cooperative thing. I mean, the federal government isn't requiring us to do this, but it is something that they also don't have. They aren't providing funding for. You know, I suppose there has been talk about Dane County communities collaborating on maybe a grant application to do this. I don't know. That's just an initial meeting we had that was an idea. I'm also putting together a proposal for this. You know, a sign pole base costs, I think, $50. So, I mean, there's obviously ways to quantify this, and I'm working on that as well. But I wanted before I work on it too much, spend a lot of time on it, I wanted your buy-in. You know, we're not going to put a sign on every block. It's basically whenever you turn, you know, where I envision the signs being is, you know, when you are crossing Century or crossing University and, you know, in advance of turning onto Elmwood, we'll want to have a sign that says bike route, turn left. You know, we just need a few of them strategically placed. We don't need one every block. That would be, I think, you know, that would be a waste of resources. So I just wanted you to be aware of this, see what your thoughts were, and then also work in progress for the next meeting. I don't remember what I have in my staff comments for that one.
Does anybody have any questions on this or any comments on this? Again, it'll be a little easier to discuss this when there is a a proposal as to how many signs you're looking at, where we're gonna
Yeah.
put them, and so
Yeah.
on and so forth. Does the committee have a preference one way or another, whether we want to take a look at this, or is the committee not want to take a look at this? Where are people kind of on the spectrum? I don't want to waste Mark's time if there's no interest whatsoever. But if there is, then we should have them put together a proposal for next month.
Is the Middleton Tourism aware of this?
Yes,
From
and
our-
I had that in my last sentence of my staff comments. I have talked to our tourism director about this, to inquire about funding sources, because one thing I'm learning from tourism is they're very focused on anything that brings people to the community, puts heads in beds. And so if we are, if we are on this, if we can expect to see people starting to do cross-country biking, which I know there's a few people who do it, but if that increases, or let's say regional biking, it's not going to be thousands of people. We don't expect that, but there might be an angle there to apply for a destination partnership grant, which is administered by the Tourism Commission. And Mari, our tourism director, said that she's open to that, to working on that with me. But I, again, didn't want to do all this work if there's no support. So
I'm wondering if we're talking about the enhanced crosswalks, the wayfinding signage. I would tend to give that more priority, and would to sort of say, put this on the back burner. I just worry that we start getting too much signage out there.
and to that point, obviously, many people have apps now and use their phones and have wayfinding through their devices, right? That doesn't mean that everyone has that, and I don't think we should always expect that people will use that or have resources like that. But it is quite easy nowadays to figure out a route without needing a sign to reinforce it. But Jim, I appreciate your point. I mean, we do have a number of irons in the fire and different priorities.
I guess that's what I was getting at, is that there's quite a bit going on, and I would not put this as a priority to have on the next month's agenda.
Okay.
Mark, can you see pavement markings, or do they have to be signs on posts?
I believe it's been, I haven't read all this, to be honest with you. This is what we were given, and it focuses on signage. I wouldn't, sometimes you see pavement markings for wayfinding for roads. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm more concerned, like what Jim said. I would rather we do a good job with having continuity of bicycle facilities within the city, so that when you cross, for example, we have bike lanes on Park Street, and they end in the block between Elmwood and University Avenue. And I would much rather see a Sharrow symbol, to provide that connectivity and encouragement and most importantly, education and safety, to help increase awareness that this is still a shared facility. I'd rather us emphasize that sort of thing than put up more signs. But this was a request that came in the last couple of weeks. I shouldn't even call it a request. Renee Calloway at Madison's bicycle facility manager, she is the one who organized a group and said, hey, is there interest regionally? And I said, sure, it's just not the highest priority. And they're not going to get to it within the next few weeks or months either. They're just starting the process. There was talk about having these signs manufactured by the Madison Sign Shop. So there'd be economies of scale realized there. So I do want to, it's not going to happen in the next few weeks, but I first wanted to put together a plan for using this guidebook, the guidelines here, to come up with where the signs would be. And one thing we could do is, that would be a good intern project too, as we have staff and time in the months ahead. So I think what I'm hearing you say is it's not, obviously there's higher priorities. but you're not opposed to it. It's just, it'd be a nice thing to have. It's just not something we should emphasize. So is that fair summary for everybody? I'm getting nods. All right, thank you.
Okay. Shall we move on?
Is that Pete? All right, so moving on, go ahead, Dan.
Now let's move on to number 4, please. Amenities at bus stops.
So here we go. So I just put this in the packet late this afternoon, so you may not have seen it if you were looking at the packet ahead of time. We have at least 4 shelters that come to mind, and I think that's all of them, that will no longer be on bus routes effective next summer. Terrace Avenue eastbound, this is the one downtown, fairly well used. There's Fortune Drive eastbound, that's over on the south side by Tiedemann's Pond. That's been there for many, many years. I used to use that one in the 90s. And those are both owned by Metro. I've asked them if we could keep those in the city when we have our new routes, and they seem to be okay with that. So they've been here so long, I think they're willing to continue having them here. Then there's 2 that are owned by the city that we purchased as surplus from campus a few years ago. One of those is installed on University Avenue in front of Madison Dentistry, the former Jiffy Lube. That's here. And then the other one is on Pinehurst, which is in the business park, Middleton Business Park, serving the, what's that place? I can't remember the staff that they have some, they petitioned for transit service there because they had limited mobility. Who's the company out there? Anyway, they won't have bus service either. So four places. So then I thought, where can we possibly look at relocating them, and how much would it cost? So these are some ideas that I'm suggesting. If you can recall the route, since we've had it on the screen a couple of times, does anybody need me to pull the route up? Century, so Allen Boulevard, Century, south on Parmenter, west on University, a little loop by Monks, the Monks loop, south through Greenway. So that's where we will have all day 30-minute service. There will also be service on the Gammon Park Street corridor coming up from Madison, east on University, north on Branch, and then to the northeast side. Obviously, Allen Boulevard and the northeast side has their shelters now at several of the bus stops. So the locations I'm suggesting here are elsewhere along the new network. This first one is at Parmenter on Lisa Lane. And the reason I'm suggesting this location is we now have literally hundreds of multifamily units that have gone in. We have the Trotta to the south. We have the 2 buildings that Jacob Klein built, Meadow Ridge and Oak Ridge. And then we have the Aviary, which I forget how many units they have, but they themselves have a couple hundred. And it just seems, and then Middleton Outreach Ministry is not far away. So it just seems this would be a good location. The road right of way, the terrace width is about 7 to 8 feet. This is just measured from an air photo, which should be sufficient for a shelter. We obviously have to confirm all this. It's located in front of the Monona Community Bank. This is the site that I was thinking. One could go farther to the right, but I didn't want to block their sign. And I just thought this might be a better location. Again, this is all subject to design. I just am looking for your concept, your feedback at this point. That's one concept, one idea. Another location is southbound Deming Way at the Monks Loop that I was just talking about. Costco's to the north. So this is where the bus goes west on University, comes up in the business park, comes back east on Murphy Drive, and south on Deming. We've had quite a debate bordering on an argument with Metro Transit about this. Metro Transit would really, really like it to be on Deming Way. And this is the location where we just poured a bus pad, actually last week or two. In the background, you see Holiday Inn. So they would like to keep it on Deming Way. and that's where we've poured it. We were at one point suggesting, we being city engineering staff, suggesting it be here on Murphy Drive, the northwest corner of the photo here. And the reason for that is we didn't want the bus to be potentially blocking traffic. Anyone who's driven a vehicle here knows how much congestion there's coming out of Costco and Discovery Drive coming to, or I mean, Deming Way at Murphy Drive, going south to Highway 14. The street ends up going into 4 lanes to handle all the traffic. So I believe there is space to have the bus be to the side and not block traffic, but it still is just one more distraction at a very congested area. So that's the concept of another shelter. I do want to note that west of here, not off the map here, the sidewalk that was put in along Murphy ends at Holiday Inn. We had adjoining businesses put the sidewalk in, but west of there in the Middleton Business Park, we have no sidewalks at all. So there will be a section, a block and a half, where the bus will be running where there's no sidewalk. And that's something that we will be taking to the Plan Commission to ask them to make a determination of need or necessity for the sidewalk. That's going to be coming up, Dan, just to give you a heads up. Third location I'm suggesting is in front of the McDonald's on Allen Boulevard at Century. And the rationale here is that we, as we all remember the debate, the northeast side was at risk of having less service, and they will have less service than they do now because it will be hourly service instead of half-hour service during commuting time. So I anticipate there will be some people that walk down from the northeast side. So we will start seeing more people taking the bus here at this intersection. Unfortunately, the right-of-way, that the terrace width it's quite narrow. Close to the intersection, it's only 3 feet. Obviously, you wouldn't have the bus stop right at the intersection, but as it goes south, it gets wider up to 11 feet by the Starbucks. This is what it looks like on street view level. If we wanted to have it be closer, working with Metro Transit on where to site this, closer to the intersection is better, just because of access from different directions. But then we would maybe have to get an easement from McDonald's. Although there is surplus right of way here, it's probably not enough distance from the intersection to allow a bus to be here and still get the shelter there. So we might have to work with McDonald's to site that if we have a shelter here to put it on their side of the sidewalk. That's just another concept. So that's 3 of them. And then another concept that I think is quite important, but it's going to be very difficult to do, is think of the shelter that's been in downtown Middleton in front of the Puresdorf house. That was the first one I showed you, the first existing shelter on Terrace Avenue. This will be the only bus stop in downtown Middleton coming from University Avenue and then coming from under the bridge and then turning north onto Parmenter Street. That will be the only bus service. That'll be the only bus route serving downtown Middleton in the future. So the people who board at Terrace now are going to be coming to University Avenue. And I just thought it would be good to repurpose the shelter for them. So there's only a couple choices here. A bus that turns left has to have time to get into the left turn lane and go north. So you have to have the stop be farther back. So at Aurora Street, I've got a drawing here that shows that. So here's St. Bernard's in the distance, the gas station at Aurora Street, and to the right is the Canothe Bruce building. It does look like there's some room here, the sidewalk, and it does some odd alignment issues. That's hard to see in that photo. So, again, this will require more detailed site analysis, but this is probably the best location for a shelter, and then the bus has time to turn the left lane. The only other idea is to go, when the bus turns around the corner, the only other concept I thought of is to have the bus, as soon as there's room to pull over, which right now is 3 or 4 about 3 parking stalls, those would be lost. Gary's Arts and Frame was quite adamant about keeping those parking spaces a few years ago, but to put in a bus stop that's served every 30 minutes will require the removal of parking. There's obviously some trees here, and putting a shelter in front of the business, I can imagine, is going to cause some concern as well. That business has almost no setback. So that's, and then going farther north across Franklin, let me go back to the other map. you could go farther north and have it, but then you're starting to get even farther from downtown. So that's why I think looking at this site by the office building is probably the best choice. I think those are the ideas. Yep, those are my ideas that I have for you. If you have any other ideas, this is why I want to take this to you to see what your thoughts are.
Does anybody have any comments? Questions for Mark? So Mark, you'd have to do this in conjunction with Madison Metro to find the best spot where there's room. You have to work with Public Works to make sure that there's room. So
And
there's a bit of work to do, right?
Yeah, there is. And I have confirmed with our Public Works. So my most immediate concern, Dan, was putting together a budget for next year, since our budgets are coming due here. So that's what's been motivating this discussion, is just wanting to be proactive. And I talked with Tom Weber, our engineering tech, who oversees our sidewalk project, and he was quite confident that he can absorb, every year they focus on a 1/8 of the city. And so even though next year's 1/8 isn't specifically, where the shelters would be, there is some discretion to, go outside that area. And so he's got a fund for that. And so I'm very happy to say that we can swing those improvements within the existing budget. City staff would then relocate the shelters. Metro has the two they own. We'll have to work something out with them. Maybe they do it, or those are all details you don't need to worry about right now. We just need to know about where to repurpose, where to relocate the shelters. And I'm not asking you to make a final decision on that tonight. Obviously, I'm just presenting it at this meeting, but I wanted to walk through it with you and discuss kind of the thinking that I had put into this, and would welcome your reaction and encouragement to continue this planning and have a final plan at a future meeting. Anybody have any thoughts about?
Any comments? Well, I certainly think that we should reuse the shelters wherever we can to make the bus as attractive as possible. So I am fully in favor of your looking to see where they can be reused.
Thank you. And the reason why I looked at you'll notice all of the locations I gave you, with the exception of maybe Deming Way and Monks. The other three are all on the, let's call it generally eastbound, inbound to Madison.
Sure.
And the reason for that is because that's where all of our shelters are. People don't need a shelter when they get off the bus. They're heading straight home. So if we had reason to believe in the future that with BRT with our routes connecting south to the BRT line at Mineral Point Road, maybe there'll start being a shift and more people will start taking the bus, west and south. But we anticipate that to continue to be a very light movement for the future. I mean, the bus service is clearly oriented towards campus and Madison, downtown Madison. That's why I chose the locations I did. I didn't choose the reverse direction.
Katie, you have a comment?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's great that we're reusing them. Is there a plan to have more bus shelters in the future? When we think about our next agenda item being budget, is that something that we need to consider?
Are you asking me?
Yes, sir.
I think there's going to be a very big change to the region's bus service next year, and we want to see how the dust settles.
Yeah.
I think obviously with 4 shelters that are no longer used, there's no point in them sitting and collecting dust and other debris. When they're no longer used, that doesn't make any sense. So that's why I'm focusing on those 4 right now. Beyond that, we've got other issues, actually. I mean, having the bus on Century Avenue instead of Donna Drive, I envision I have some ideas for how to make Century Avenue, as we've discussed previously. We want to make that a more pedestrian friendly corridor. I think in conjunction with that, whether we have bus pullout areas, there's going to be other decisions we have to make, but I think let's first see the bus service shift as it does and how the dominoes fall with that. And then, see how the public responds to that before we make any more investments. But I think next year would be a good time to have this discussion again.
Jim, you have a comment?
Yeah, the only comment I had is when you're looking at the placement of these shelters, having ridden the bus for years, I would recommend that the closed side of the shelter face the west or northwest. Because in the winter, that having ridden the bus at Maple and University, that made a big difference. That you didn't get hit by the wind in the morning from the west and northwest in the winter.
Excellent observation. Ted Dockery would really appreciate that too.
All right, thank you, Jim. Are there any other comments or questions? You have enough from us, Mark?
Yeah, I wanted you to be aware of what was going on, in my mind, which is sometimes worth sharing and sometimes not. So.
Very good, thank you. Let's move on then to the 2023 operating capital budget.
So I'll start with our path network. You'll recall for at least a couple of years now, we've Parks and Rec staff had adopted the strategy of the city's Ped Bike Transit Committee sponsoring a budget for trail maintenance in the hopes that they could focus on parks and some of their programs with forestry and recreation, hoping that could lead to a new pot of funding, and that hasn't happened. And with the repackaging of Parks and Recs, the director, Matt Amundsen, has offered to or has requested taking it back. He actually discussed that with the Parks Board on Monday. Dan, you're on Parks, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you probably know more about it than I do because I wasn't at the meeting. So the summary of it is that we don't need to submit a trail budget. That's Matt's direction. Instead, the focus for this next year will be, as you see in my memo, he wants to focus on doing some maintenance with the funds they have, and then develop a plan for, they're currently actually working with the geotech firm to do some core samples to determine the condition of a lot of their trails, some of which are they're beyond the point of, they need to be repaved or reconstructed. They can't just be, like a street. They need substantial pavement work. So they're currently wanting to they're going to focus next year on developing a comprehensive plan for repaving. So that's mainly what I want to tell you, is that we're off the hook with that here.
Yeah, that's going to do, the Parks Department we're going to end up doing what the street department does, and we'll have a 5-year plan. And so it'll be easier to put together, easier to budget for. So on a lot of levels, it just makes sense. Okay, Mark.
And then, but that said, I still continue to want your input, and by I mean city staff. This is the Ped Bike. Ped Bike is a big part of this committee. It's 2/3 of it. So we want, when you do have experiences on our path network and concerns, please feel free to continue to share those with me, and I can forward them to our Parks and Rec staff. So I don't want to have you feel that we're de-emphasizing the importance of our bicycle and pedestrian facilities from this committee. It's just we are not going to be budgeting for them. So I want to make that clear. Transit service is also going to be, as we talked about already, it's going to be changing significantly next year. And this is fairly complicated, and there's some unknowns still, but ultimately what I put in my memo reflects the conversations that I've been having with the general manager and finance director for Metro Transit. Let me make this a little bigger. So they outlined, you recall at the last meeting, you endorsed the concept of the city applying for a tier B funding status through the state. And there actually was a little debate in the last couple of weeks whether that would be appropriate to do immediately for this next budget cycle or not. And Metro Transit looked at it more closely. They had some discussions in-house, and they came up with these three bulleted, they came up with their conclusions here in three bullets. The first being the status quo, no change to how we fund transit, which would result in keeping the, in other words, if we didn't make any changes to our bus system next year and kept the number of hours, the cost would go up to $525,000. Just a second here. Where's that number? Oh yeah. There's the current, just for context, this year's budget is 504,000. I should have started with that. So there would still be an increase to sustain the current level of service. The second option, continuing as tier A, plus the service increase to reflect 500 additional hours of service, which is going to happen with routes Y and F, whatever they end up being named. That would have added, above current levels, that would have added about $26,000 to our budget. But switching to tier B, as the council has now endorsed as well, and adding the 500 hours will result in just slightly less than what the status quo would have been for next year. So they do recommend status quo, meaning with no change in hours. In other words, keeping the service, which is not an option anymore. So in other words, the budget submittal needs to be a decision item for $30,486. That's ultimately the motion I'm asking you to make as a recommendation to the council and what I submit in the budget.
Okay. So you're looking for a motion to recommend a city budget of $525,060 for transit
Right.
operations in 2023.
Yep. And that includes a decision item that gets called out separately in our budget process for those of you who aren't familiar with our budget process.
Does anybody have any questions for Mark? If there are no questions, does somebody want to make a motion to that effect? Anybody?
Sure, this is Katie. I will move that we recommend a budget increase of $30,486 over last year to council.
Thank you, Katie. Is there a second?
This is Jim, I second.
Thank you, Jim. Are there any other comments or questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is establishing a regular meeting schedule.
Yeah, I had no staff updates that I could think of. So yeah, but we talked about this last time, the regular meeting schedule. And I think we just need to have this discussion rather than polling, because we've been sort of leaning to Wednesday and Thursday as meeting times, but more frequently Wednesday. But now we have a member who said she can't continue meeting on Wednesday. So I'd like to see you. Almost everyone is here now. Peter Connor has joined us, by the way. So we're just short Tad, who indicated last time he's generally okay with meeting anytime. He likes 5 o'clock. And then our school district representative, if it ends up becoming Mr. Rhodes, he's actually on the call too. So if he has any thoughts, but it's presumptive to assume that he'll be the new representative, but I'm hoping he will be. So I just was hoping you could give me your feedback in terms of days of the week that work for you. Wednesdays or Thursdays generally would be, and not the first Wednesday. So how do you feel about this?
This is Dale. Wednesdays or Thursdays work.
Okay.
This is Ellen. Both work for me. I really like the 5 o'clock time. So
Does the 5 o'clock time pretty much work for everybody?
Good for
So
me.
let's stay with the 5 o'clock time then, because that seems to have worked the best. So then the question just will be whether or not Wednesday or Thursday is better. And early indications seem like Thursday would be better.
I don't know that I heard that specifically, but that's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday is fine with me.
Is that good for everybody else?
Yeah, I have, this is Katie. I have arts committee on the third Thursday, but
Okay.
otherwise Thursdays are great.
Are they better than Wednesday for you, Katie?
There. But, you know, in a pinch, this is great.
So maybe Thursday is a slightly better option.
And because you said one member couldn't make Thursdays?
Well, what I said was that we had somebody who had trouble making meetings on Wednesdays. I don't know that I said somebody can't make it on Thursdays.
Oh, I thought that's what you said earlier.
Well, I said not the first Wednesday of the month, but frankly, not the first Thursday work either, because I help staff airport commission. So the first week of the month would be out. But second, third, or fourth weeks, Wednesday or Thursday, you know, it sounds like Thursdays may be what people are leaning to. So maybe, you know what? I'm sorry, Carrie, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say Thursdays work slightly better for me too, but I can make either one work.
Okay, well, Thursday seems to work for everybody. Let's do Thursday, 5 o'clock, and now let's try to determine what the best week would be. And the reason that I'm kind of pushing this is we're having trouble when we do the survey to figure out when people can or can't come. We're having an issue with quorum. If we have a set meeting time,
Right.
then everybody can kind of plan for it, and I think that'll work. That doesn't necessarily mean we'll always have a meeting. If we don't have enough agenda items, we'll just cancel the meeting for that month. But I think it'd be good that we have a set time every month to have it. It'll just be so much easier for everybody to schedule.
So now so maybe if you don't have a preference between second, third, or fourth Thursday, does anybody have a preference between those three? If not, then it comes down to meeting, you know, we at some point want to meet in person again. So I want to make sure our meeting room space situation is, you know, I want to schedule around that as well. The disadvantage of meeting the fourth Thursday is Thanksgiving and the winter holidays. You know, Thanksgiving is always on the fourth Thursday. So, well, or fifth Thursday. But so maybe the second or third Thursday, but I want to double check with our meeting rooms to make sure there isn't any conflict. I don't think there will be at 5 o'clock, but I want to double check. So Dan, if that's okay with you, I mean, coming out of this, we're going to set a time, but if nobody has a preference between the second or third Thursday, if you want to leave that flexible so I can check our meeting room schedules, and then I'll just announce it as long as I have that, you know, as long as nobody has an objection to that.
Okay, let's do that.
Wonderful.
Just a reminder, I'm not available on the third Thursday, so.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's
what-
sorry.
Oh, you did say that. I'm sorry. Yep. Thank you for the reminder. I'd written it down, but all right. So I will look at the second Thursday as the first priority. When does arts usually meet, Katie?
5:30 on Thursday.
Okay. All right. So second Thursday is the first choice for 5 o'clock second Thursday, unless there's a meeting room constraint, in which case then maybe I will go to the fourth Thursday, recognizing we just wouldn't meet in November and December probably, or we'd have to schedule a different Thursday.
Well, in November and December, oftentimes we have a light agendas
Right.
anyway. So
Right. So first choice is the second Thursday. Second choice is the fourth Thursday. Well, I'll go with that as my marching orders.
That'll work.
That was very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we are to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Is there anything else for agenda wise that anybody or Dan that you wanted to have us be thinking about in the future? Anything on your mind?
I think that we're all eagerly anticipating your updates on the things that we talked about, and that's probably going to give you enough work.
Well, and we have the complete streets resolution. The reason why you didn't have that back in your agenda is because sustainability asked not to have it on their meeting this past week. And I knew that I have a 6:30 meeting tonight, so I just wanted to keep the agenda focused on budget and what we needed to. So
I have one comment. Have we ever got back from the parks on the issue of bicycle safety on pedestrian and bicycle safety on the trails. Has that ever been resolved?
Well, the
There was,
You-
there was talk about signage and trying to avoid sharp, blind bends on the trails.
Okay, well, I'll look into it. It's not on our agenda for discussion, but I'll look into it and see if that's something we need to revisit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ken. We do need an update on that. Okay, if there's nothing else, could I get a motion to adjourn?
This is Katie, so moved.
Thank you, Katie. Second,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
And my thanks to Bihi for his presentation and following up. We won't be seeing you at a future meeting, so thank you for your work, Bihi.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Bea.
Bea.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you.
Have a great day.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
All right.